Hi everyone, I'm happy to welcome you back to Premier Studying and Investing. Today we're looking at ALDX, Aldeyra Therapeutics. You can see their chart here. You'll notice the candles dropped pretty significantly below the support line. Over the weekend, today is November 1st, 2020, $6.68. It's been a nice upward trend since March, like a lot of stocks. And you could say that some of this breakout, could be due to the election cycle, Okay, so we're all well aware of some of the news that's been going on in Europe, Germany, Spain, Italy, France. It's just the second wave. Scott Gottlieb from Pfizer and Illumina, he gets on CBS every morning almost in the States here and talks to the country about, what's going on with the masks and this thing and that thing, the school reopenings or not, what's going on in Europe, how the different testing or therapeutics are coming along. He sits on the board of Pfizer, so we hear from him all the time. He estimated that, half of Americans are going to contract the sickness by Christmas. He said 40 to 50% is probable. He used the word probable, and he did give that range, but that's interesting. So Aldeyra Therapeutics has actually 2 COVID treatments, and we can see a little bit about them. Market cap $243 million, about 38.6 million shares outstanding. You'll notice there's a big short ratio. A lot of people shorting this, about 2.1 shorts for everybody holding a long position. No sales, and some of the other things I'll leave to you if you want to pause it. Moving on, it's really interesting, some of the, I won't call them cheerleaders, but some people might, the analysts. It's going all the way back to 2014, nothing but buys, overweights, outperforms. There's no holds, so I don't know who picks these. Maybe that's probably not all the analyst target prices that came out. But if we take these top 4 from 2020, we got $12 price target, $32, $29, and $24. Well, it's trading at, $6.68. FinViz is always a great site where you can go and get a lot of different, news, up 6% almost, up almost 7%, up almost 18%. So you can go and see, what's going on with the stock. It's not going to get a lot of coverage otherwise in the media or on any of those investor pages. One thing we can do is go back looking even at their 5-year chart. Despite all those investor recommendations, it's really been about where it's at. We did have the big drop down in March 2020 and a big spike in 2018 up to $16. But I had some profitable years in the green, but I don't know. One thing is going back, never any revenues, or never revenues over $1 million. So that's really interesting to me. So if we look quickly at their earnings, going back the last 4 quarters, you can see a pretty significant miss, 25% miss. You notice all these are negative earnings. 34% beat, 28% beat, 27% beat. So it's good, but they're not selling anything as far as we know, anything that's significant over $1 million of revenue, maybe some, extraordinary income, something like that, maybe from some investments. But at least it's trending in the right direction. Going over to the Motley Fool, we have a gentleman who says that Aldeyra could have first mover advantage because of its research into using immunomodulators that target reactive aldehyde species, which is RASP, and we're going to see that in the investor presentation. So I thought I would just throw it out from Motley Fool. It says in treating various inflammatory disorders, RASP are reactive molecules that combine to molecules and cause inflammation. So that's just one of the things. It's in the same ballpark as maybe a lot of diseases, but certainly with some of the respiratory, the lung inflammation that we've been seeing. If we go over their investor report, it came out in September of 2020. You can see that right here, just to let you know how recent this information is. I will say I kind of like this quote, inflammation, a unifying theory of disease. It's from a Harvard Health Letter 2006. We can see a lot of things that they're doing, dry eye disease, psoriasis, asthma, so related to respiratory, allergies, lupus, respiratory distress, inflammatory bowel disease, Alzheimer's, and etc. One thing I just did a company I own, Revive Therapeutics. They have basically, butylamine, and that's about what I argue is all they had until 2020. This company has a lot more products, actually. And I also Relief Therapeutics, which basically has one product as well. So if you're looking for a little bit more diversified, less risky option at looking at COVID plays, this might be a company for you to consider. Their main drugs, so they have 2 drugs treating COVID, the ADX-629, and it goes by this name, Reproxalap, we can call it. And this is to inhibit the RASP. We'll look at that in a second. And these are some of the effects of RASP. And then you have the ADX-1612, and this is kind of their, I'm going to look at it in a second. I think this is the antiviral. Yeah, so this is the cytokine suppressor, and this is the antiviral that they're both working on. Here's the pipeline. You can see anything in blue has to do with ocular diseases, related to the eye. We can see this lead product right here has the mechanism of the RASP, dry eye disease, allergic conjunctivitis, which is often known as pink eye. And we can see actually those are both in phase 3. So that's, I mean, I think that's great, as far as the timing. It's not like some of these companies that everything is in phase 1 or preclinical. And there's a lot of companies like that. It's nice to see that their lead product is in phase 3 for 2 different diseases. They also have lymphoma, so this is related to cancer. And I kind of skipped these, but phase 2, maybe coming into phase 3. But the ADX-1612, ovarian cancer, we can also see it's going to be the antiviral for the Rona, and it's in phase 1, maybe into phase 1. I think it's actually in phase 2. We'll look a little bit further down. And then they have the 629, which is the cytokine release syndrome, and that's the RASP. So this is the same one. This is actually just, it's like, I don't know, street name, and this is their, I don't know, more technical name, but it's the same drug, RASP, the 629. So the 1612 and the 629 are the 2 that I'm going to be focusing on, and I just show you this so you can see these other things: autoimmune, psoriasis, allergy. Okay. So the RASP inhibition, this is one thing, and let's start with this left graph here. Basically, it says RASP inhibition is a pre-cytokine system-based approach that has been clinically validated in late-stage trials. Okay, so that's nice. Basically, that is, you give the drug early, it prevents RASP from happening. If RASP would occur, you'd have the TNF-κB translocation, which we saw that in the ATYR, 19, I think it was 24 drug from the company ATYR that goes by the ticker LIFE. So I have a whole video on them, and definitely we saw this NF-κB previously. Not the first time we've seen it. Zoom in a little bit. We can see that they had, this is TNF-α, decreased by about 40%. IL-1 beta, maybe down 50%. IL-5 reduced by 60, 70% maybe, even 75% maybe. IL-17, about 60% drop. And then the IL-10 was elevated. So I don't know about that. All of these are, they're very confident about the confidence level is at the 1% level or better. So very, very confident, very statistically significant. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that's kind of the one general idea. Okay, eye disease, conjunctivitis. Part 1 phase 3 trial. Again, their lead drug with a competitor that we're going to look at. So this company made, this is a drug by Novartis. They made about 102 million, third quarter of 2019, and about 100 million a year before that, about 93 million a year before that. So for this company, being that there's no revenues coming in, to get a chunk of that would be good. So this right one, it looks like one of the complaints from some of the other articles we'll look at is the time that the drug starts working. Mean of ocular discomfort rating, 0 to 10, so you want a low number here. You don't want to have a high one. And our drug is in the blue here, meaning that there's less pain and it acts more quickly. This is a dryness score from -25 to 0. Change from baseline. It looks like this is less dry treatment days. So, again, good. This line is the vehicle. Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at these eye diseases beyond that. But the ADX-629 proof of concept, 3 types of severe inflammation. Okay. One, you have the cytokine release syndrome that we saw before. It's in phase 2. So I was saying, was it in the end of phase 1 or phase 2? It's in phase 2. And it looks like their expected initiation second half of 2020. Well, that's now. So, okay. So that makes sense that they're in phase 2. We're going into the fourth quarter of 2020. And of course, everyone wants to know when's it going to be done, Are we going to get like an early acceptance or something like that based on great results? Are you going to unblind the trial? Are you going to release the data? But that's how it goes for a lot of these things. I'm going to skip to 2191 for some of the eye diseases. Talk a lot about retinal detachment. So if you're interested in those, they have some things they're working on there. We'll look at this really quick, and then we'll jump over and look at how much some of the drugs might be worth, especially that one that had the competitor, the lead drug we have that would compete with the drug from Novartis. But first, the HSP90 recently identified as a potential therapeutic target of SARS-CoV-2 and demonstrated clinical activity against the EBV. EBV, it says right here, is the Epstein-Barr virus. So they have call on November the 5th, the earnings call. We're going to come out November the 5th at 8 a.m. You might want to check that out because this slide isn't so great in tying these two together. You have the EBV infected patients over here, that their drug, the ADX-1612, does a good job at kind of treating that, reducing some of the, it says circulating EBV positive cells, so it reduces the number of cells that they saw. But then over here, it's talking again about the SP or HSP90. It says HSP90 is required for SARS-CoV-2 replication and infection, and that they found that there was an elevated level of this, the RNA from this, with people who were sick. So, I mean, they don't really exactly tie these two together. They just put it in the same slide. So, but the point is that they're doing other things: inflammation reduction, cytokines. Looks like they applied to the CTAP with the FDA in the United States in June 2020. They're on the BARDA Corona Watch application, at least, June 20. And so maybe we could go over to clinical trials and see what's going on, whether they got accepted or not, but I'm almost sure that they will. And I just say that because, I mean, this is a treatment. Well, I guess, Relief Therapeutics got the, not Relief, Gilead Sciences got the full approval. So now, I mean, I guess we can no longer call it like a untreated disease, but still, we saw a lot of the reports come out about Gilead Science, Remdesivir, Veklury, whatever they're calling it. But I just wanted to draw your attention to this. This is the Novartis has the drug Zedra, which we saw in those slides. And I just went over and found Novartis. They made $102 million in third quarter 2019. And then going back earlier, 2018, they made about $93 million in a single quarter and $60 million in the third quarter of 2017. And those are only sales in the US. So could be much bigger. The other thing was, I think Novartis bought this from Takeda. You can see that here in May of 2019. And I think they bought it for, $5.3 billion. So, it could be something that Aldeyra would want to, sell to someone else. 8 a.m. You can catch that. So I did a Monte Carlo simulation on the earnings from Remdesivir, and I really found the big constraint with that drug going wild was going to be the fact that it wasn't IV delivered. And so you're going to run out of the number of beds. There's going to be a max capacity in the hospital systems. And I mean, even, Utah and different places, they're putting up shelters and kind of field hospitals for this wave coming up this winter, which is good, which is very, very good. But, there's going to be a limitation on medical staff. I really think an orally delivered thing, something like Vaxart would maybe be doing. Altimmune is doing a nasal delivery, a nasal spray for their vaccine as well as for their treatment. I really was interested in the inhaled version of Remdesivir. I was really interested in Aviptadil from Relief Therapeutics. And, I liked that bucilamine is taken orally. So I'm really looking actually at drugs that are orally or any delivery system other than through the IV. So this is really one thing that I really, really love about this. I don't know how much importance this is, but this article basically from Yahoo Finance, put together by Insider Monkey, I don't know, says that there's an increased level of hedge funds that are holding this, have bearish positions, and you can read some of those. Ghost Street Capital, Acuta Capital, Knoll Capital, and there's others listed in here, Perceptive Advisors. So I don't know really how much that means, but I thought it was an interesting company. It's good to know a little bit more about where they are in their stages. Like most of these, it's going to be a while before they get approved. Even just to finish the trials that they're in now, the phase that they're in now, it's going to be a little bit. And so I think, you can watch kind of the macroeconomic environment. You can watch the stock market. You can look at the beta that these things have. And actually, what is the beta on this? So for those of you who aren't really familiar with beta, it's basically like how closely does the stock track the market, the general overall market. Where is the beta on here? There we go, 2.5. So basically, if the market goes up 10%, this is going to go up about twice that, so 20%. So it's going to be very volatile. It's going to depend a lot upon how the overall market is performing. And it's not causation, but it's more correlation. So there is a difference there. But anyways, that's basically the play. Two different coronavirus treatments. One is an antiviral. The other is a modulator, immunomodulator for the cytokine storm. And if those don't work out, I really like that they have something else in mind of what they're going to do with those. So I hope that helps. Again, if you want to read more, it's the ADX-629 for the cytokine release. And the other one is the ADX-1612 for the antiviral. Okay? Thanks for stopping by.